I don't.
No.
60, 72.
So we reset them.
Oh, yeah.
We reset them. 8, yeah. We are on 8.
All right.
Okay. So we're recording.
Okay.
So as we're sitting here
Welcome to episode 8.
shooting the breeze, yes, it is episode 8.
All right.
So welcome to the, what's it called now?
Becoming.
Building and Becoming show. Yes. So we'll get you caught up to speed.
Yeah.
It's been a while. You haven't been here in a long time.
No.
So yeah. So welcome to episode 8 of the
Building and Becoming show.
That's right. So our mission, you probably don't know this, but this is my beginning of every show. This is the whole mission for the whole thing. Ready? Building foundational faith in Christ while becoming strong, fit, and capable in all areas of life.
I've heard all that and saw it.
Mission.
I've read it. I've seen it.
Right. All right. So I like to tell the audience ways they can join along. Some of it's free. Some of it costs money. Okay. The free way. Follow along. Social media, Instagram, pretty active.
Yes.
Very active.
And successful these days.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learning to do it better. It's crazy. Subscribe on YouTube.
Getting very successful these days.
YouTube going well. What we're looking forward to. So thank you everybody for this. But they send you this thing, about getting the play button in the mail.
Okay. Now I do not.
All right. So this is a thing. And the first one is when you get to 100,000 subscribers, they send you this. There's this big unboxing you can do, and you get their symbols like the play button.
Okay.
And so I don't know what this one's made of. Then there's, maybe 1 million and 10 million and all these crazy levels. The entry one that we'll get here, hopefully the next month or two, is probably knowing YouTube, made of hardened tears of progressive snowflakes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that'll ship.
Yeah. They'll probably delete your channel.
And they hate hearing that I just said that.
Right. Yeah.
So we've got problems with YouTube as we're growing.
Yeah.
You know what? They're not. They like Trump stuff and all. They'll let you do all that kind of stuff. They don't like the Jesus stuff.
Okay.
But in their defense, I don't see them promoting other religions either. I think they just don't want it.
Yeah.
So whatever. But YouTube's been good to us in some ways because we are growing on there. So that's cool. So subscribe on YouTube and on all the content, like and share it, engage, comment, all that kind of stuff helps us out tremendously. Second, people want to spend a little bit of money. You spend a little bit of money. Join the Building and Becoming School. It's an online community. We do give people a free week so you can jump on, absorb the classroom content that's there. There's a ton of that stuff. We do several Zoom calls a week. You can come on and join those. If you think it's dumb, if it's not providing you value after a week, you can say, see you later. Never hear from you again. That's okay. I don't think that you will do that because it is valuable and it's growing. And we appreciate people that want to come on and commit $99 a month. It's not nothing, but it sure isn't life-changing money. You know why I charge people for that? You have any idea?
Yeah, I know.
Tell me.
I don't know if you know what I know, but I know.
Oh, go.
Because people don't respect things that are free.
Dude, yes. Let me paraphrase that. Or the opposite of para.
Yeah.
Make it bigger.
Yeah.
So where there is no investment, there's no commitment.
Correct.
Where there's no commitment, there's zero growth. Where there's zero growth, there's no chance of any kind of transformation. So yeah, they do not value what doesn't cost them. So there's 2 costs to being part of a life-giving community: a little bit of money, a little bit of time. Right? So for folks that want to do that, it's pretty cool. It'll help you get unstuck if you're in a little bit of a rut. Now we also have a third level of stuff. You familiar with my new thing?
No.
I'll tell you. It's for what I've written down here. This is how I describe it. And I'm describing me too, first off.
Deep water?
It is.
Okay.
So I call them truly intense weirdos.
Yep.
Because I decided to teach this and coach it. I needed to do all the stuff.
Yep.
Dude, have you ever done this? Everything that goes in your mouth gets weighed and...
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
It's not horrible. What Mike means is it's a little more of an investment in your time.
Yeah.
No, but
it's effective.
It is.
Because a lot of the things that people don't realize that hit you, and obviously I'm not in my best physical shape right now, but I have been previously, is if you don't weigh everything, your guesses are usually low, and you also miss salad dressing and A1 sauce and Every little thing that you add adds
Dude,
up.
so right.
It adds up.
It blows my mind.
Yes.
So here's what else it's done for me. Like if I'm sitting, I'm doing whatever, I'm like, I know that there's those cookies in there that Allie made. Yeah, I'm going to run up, grab 3 or 4 cookies. Then I'm like, well, how do I don't know the ingredients. How do I log? Screw it. I'm not even having them.
Yeah.
So, because I want to keep the log accurate, right?
Yep.
The other thing that I realized was portions. You familiar with portions? Who knew?
Yeah.
I was eating stuff I thought was a portion,
No.
not a portion.
No.
The other thing that I figured out, and this is going to be opposite for some people as you're starting to track and weigh and doing your macros and everything, turns out, this won't shock you, I wasn't getting enough food.
Yeah. Protein especially.
For sure. And what a game changer when all of a sudden you're getting 180 to 200 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
That's changed a lot.
It's filling. I mean, that's the other
for sure. Speaking of filling, let's finish this thought.
Okay.
So the deep water stuff, I call us intense weirdos. Also, this app, this Trainerize app that I coach people with, the workouts are programmed in the app, and you go and while you're training, so you get done with your set, you're like, okay, I did 12 at 20 pound, and then you hit rest, and however much rest is programmed in, you get 90 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever, and do your next set, and you put that in. Then you track that every time you do that particular workout. The app will tell you how much total weight you've done. Are you going up? Are you progressing? That's a game changer too. You know how much I was guessing right over there in the gym? It's all guesswork. What do I feel like lifting today?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a highly accountable, intense, pretty immersive 90 days, but it's been fun. We got coaching people's different, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, how could I be holding these dudes accountable to this if I'm not weighing my food?
Right.
But you're right. I wouldn't say it sucks, but there's an adjustment period.
Yep.
I was at a restaurant. Let me tell you, hey, Mike Barges, I hope you're listening. Stood me up.
Barges.
Stood me up.
Stood you up?
Stood me up. So here I am sitting at this cafe. It's on a Saturday morning, so it's pretty busy. And here I am, table for one, because he stands me up. So I flag down the waitress. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and order. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, shoot, this is my first time I've been out.
Yeah.
And I got to put all this in my app. So, and it turns out when you go out to eat, it's way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you bring out a scale out of your pocket, or are you just like stuck with like eggs and?
I guessed. Eggs. Yeah. Yes. And I made sure they weren't scrambled, because sometimes you can order 3 scrambled eggs that give you 1.5 or vice versa. So I got 3 eggs and an order of pork sausage and an English muffin that's dripping with butter.
Right.
So I make a guess on the butter and
but the more you major, the better your guesses become.
It is. You get it. You get a pretty good idea. But anyway, deep water is pretty cool. I would love people to reach out to me. The way I do it is we do an hour-long Zoom call, figure out if you're first off willing to do all this stuff. Yeah. And then here's what it costs, and here's what I think I can help you with, and move on from there. So yeah, it's not for everybody, but there's probably 1 or 2 people that it's for that are listening.
Did you speak to Barges after the stand-up?
I don't know his number, or I would have sent him something. Then we've been communicating on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
So I sent him something while I was there. Bro, I'm here.
Yeah.
And then the next day, hey, missed you yesterday. Nothing. Silent for like a week. Sends me something. Oh, darn. I didn't have you in my calendar. I got busy. But here's my cell number. I'm like, okay, dude. So hope you're listening. You owe me breakfast. But yeah. So I forgot to tell you, stand up.
Barges shaking my head right at you.
Dang, dude.
Come on.
Yeah, that head shakes for you. So let's talk about, we're talking about food and all that kind of stuff. So Allie, day 73.
Oh, about over.
Just so Friday. Yep. Then she's taken Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Then jumping into phase 1. So you're familiar with these phases?
No.
Okay. So the program Andy Frisella designed is called Live Hard.
Yep.
The first part is 75 hard. Then after that, there's 3 phases. Phase 1 is 30 days. It's exactly like 75 hard, the same stuff, except you have to do a 5-minute ice cold shower every day.
Yeah.
You have to write and accomplish a 5-step power list, I believe it is, every single day. So you have to have, I'm going to accomplish X, Y, and Z kind of in your tracker or whatever organizer you use. And there might be something else too. And you do that for 30 days. Phase 2 goes right back. It's 30 days as well. It's exactly like 75 hard, but for 30 days. No more, no cold showers, no nothing. And then phase 3 is back to like phase 1, but there's like a random act of kindness every day or something. So these things get a little more involved, and you have to have them complete. You have to complete the 3rd phase right before your anniversary date of when you started 75 hard.
Okay.
So you're forced to not just do it all in the summer or so she's going to do phase 1, and her diet, her nutrition plan, I hate the word diet, that she's using for phase 1 is total carnivore.
Right.
So she's going to be strict with it. And we got the Sean Baker book. And you ever heard of Sean Baker?
No.
Pretty cool. Okay. He literally wrote the book, The Carnivore Diet.
Yep.
And so she's going shopping Monday and loading up on steaks and meat. Yeah. So she's going to have steak and pork chops and chicken.
You get salad?
No.
No.
Nothing that comes from no plant anything.
Okay.
No, it's just you can eat eggs and you can eat meat.
Some of those diets will let you have like iceberg lettuce because it's 0 or
nope.
whatever.
No, just, and you can have some dairy, but it has to be maximum fat.
Okay.
So it's all
milk.
I don't know if you can have milk, but if you can, it's got to be the red. Yeah. So that's what Allie has going on. So she's killing.
What does her license plate say and why?
I don't really want to say what her license plate is on the air.
Okay. I mean, without spelling it out, does it not say? Does it say what?
Yes. Yeah. I'll tell you off air what it's all about.
All right.
It's not that interesting, and I don't want.
All right.
Allie has enough stalkers. It turns out I can be everywhere on the internet and no one gives me a second look. Allie goes on and she's got stalkers coming out of the woodwork.
Same thing with my 8-year-old granddaughter cheerleader.
Dude.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No. Craziest messages. Yeah.
Why is that allowed? But we can't talk about Jesus on some platforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
You report them?
Put them on the plane.
Do you report? How do you do?
Molly has to send everything.
Oh my goodness. Dude.
Block.
Arlie the other day, she's like, I need my own social media accounts. And we're like, nope. Well, when can I have one? And I don't know how to answer it. I'm like, when you're like 20?
Yeah.
I mean, when you don't live here, I don't know the answers.
Yeah.
Your mom just got them.
For college? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we got. Mike Collins. Yeah. I don't know if we've told people who you are, and some people recognize you. And it's been a while. Do you remember last time you were on?
No.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Who's this guy? Who's Ashton Winger? Who is this?
Well, this is a racing friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he gets a plug?
Yeah. Ashton Winger.
Okay.
He's no longer his car number. He's number 12. This was a very short-lived. No, it doesn't show the number.
All right.
Ashton Winger.
Well, shout out Winger. Shout out Winger. It's good.
He races World of Outlaws late models.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And he and his dad, me and his dad have been friends for 30 years. And the kid's like 24. I met him when he was 2.
Yeah, and that's about when kids start racing, it turns out.
Yeah. Yep.
Freaking stroller late models.
Yep.
Yeah. So today, we're recording this on it's Wednesday afternoon.
Yep.
And let's bring the audience up to snuff. This will come out the next Tuesday. So we're 6 days ahead of release. And the stock market and the economy and stuff's been going freaking crazy, right? So you and I are having conversations about, so bring the audience that doesn't know up to speed. A large portion of my net worth is from selling businesses a couple years ago and having a lump of money that I needed to invest in order to draw some income and help build this platform and all this kind of stuff. And it's largely invested in the market.
Yep. And
so the market, turns out, had a bad day last Thursday. Yeah, okay. Well, it happens. Then Friday came.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yep.
2 bad days, not the end of the world. We're certainly not going to panic. I try to be a faithful guy. Let's just press on. You know what happened after Sunday? Well, Monday came. Yeah. How'd that go?
Well, for 45 minutes Monday, it was often taken off to the races.
Yep.
And then at about 9:15 a.m. Central Time, right back to the dumpster.
Oof. So I call my guy, and he's getting 1,000 phone calls.
Sure. Yeah.
And I sent him a text on Friday morning, like, bro, just to let you know, no big deal, not panicking. I get it, you know. And so when I got with him Tuesday, he says, or maybe it was Monday, days are blending. He says, "What happened to no panic?" I
Yeah.
said, "I'm not panicking."
Yeah.
I said, "I just want to be proactive. Let's at least take advantage of something bad and try to capitalize on it." And we end up it's all guesswork, dude. And I was communicating with you like, "What do you think of this? And let's do this." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." But what's happened is, for those that don't know, and some people don't, this surprises me too, that they don't know, you know, that the market's up or down. They don't care. It doesn't affect their day-to-day lives, so they believe.
Yep.
But we have a president who announced a ton of tariffs.
Yep.
So today's show, Trump, tariffs, and truths.
All right.
That's what we're going to talk about.
All
Okay.
right.
So let's start with tariffs. I wasn't as versed in this until this latest go round of tariffs.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a tax that is imposed upon imported goods into this country as I don't want to say a deterrent, but it's trying to push people towards buying lesser expensive, similar products that are produced in our own country.
Right.
Yeah. That's one of, and to try to increase the manufacturing in our own country. And then if we are going to have goods come in here that aren't building up our manufacturing base, we're at least going to be able to make some revenue from tariffing those.
Yes.
Yes.
But other countries
Go
do
ahead.
that to us as well.
Yes.
Only they usually tariff American goods at a lot higher rate than America tariffs their goods.
Yes.
Which has made basically American products in other countries far more expensive.
Yes.
And with America sat behind for whatever reason a long time and fallen behind in the tariff game.
Yes. And Trump is realizing, and has realized for a long time, that this isn't sustainable, and it's time to be uncomfortable economically for a spell while we can kind of hit the reset button and get everybody else back in line.
Yep.
So to me, I almost envision you've got a jacked up, broken arm, and the first thing you do when you go to the doc is they are messing it around and they have to get it set back, and that really, really hurts. Then all of a sudden the healing begins. When you get your cast off, next thing you know, your arm's stronger than it's ever been.
Yep.
What we're going through.
Yep.
But today's been crazy because when I got done with my workout, I go look at the market because it's about 8:30 and it opens up, and all of a sudden it's bad again. I'm like, what? All this China tariff stuff's going on. And then Trump gets on television and says about 15 words, and all of a sudden my phone's blowing up and the market's doing things I've never seen it do to the good.
Yeah.
So this has just been some sort of roller coaster. And when it's all said and done and the dust settles, you know where we're all going to end up? Right freaking back to where we were.
Back on a steady, slow.
It's going to be right back where we were.
Be on a steady, slow climb of, So my story is Monday morning, I didn't have any money in the market, and I thought, well, I'll just buy a few stocks. It seemed like a good time to buy, and I threw like 20 grand in, and I took some profits that day. Then yesterday, I reinvested, took a few profits last night, but then this morning I wake up and China's announced that they're retaliating. And so I sold everything this morning first thing, which I've cost myself several $1,000s today.
Correct. Many thousands.
It's money I would have made. It's not money I lost, but it's still like,
yes,
it's all
unrealized possible earnings though still burn you.
And the things that, so the market is like up 7%, 6% in tech. But I looked at the shares that I sold this morning, which were like Tesla, which is obviously really shot off. Apple's really shot off.
Yeah.
So anyway, I gave up like 15% on return, which would have been like $2,000 or $3,000 today, but whatever.
You just don't know. That's the thing with this. Well,
some people know.
They do.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people know.
So the fun part of this story is Monday morning, I threw like 20 grand in there Monday morning at 8:30. At 9:15, I was up almost $3,000. And that's because somebody released a story that Trump was pausing tariffs, and it ran on one of the networks. And then at 9:15, the White House came out and said, no, he didn't.
Then, yeah.
So pretty crazy if you were in a position you could get something to scroll across the bottom of a business network's ticker.
Yeah, it happens every day.
And
this is how politicians have net worths of $100 million on a 200 grand salary.
Yes. There's people that made billions of dollars Monday morning.
Yep.
That that knew to get in and get out before the
Yep.
White House said, "What?
Yep.
Wait."
And
what?"
we're just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
We're just trying to, and we don't know.
We do not have the insider information.
We don't know. So I've learned a couple other things. So we're going to talk about some exciting things today. You ready, audience? Trade deficits. You familiar with this?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't understand what this meant, but here's my grasp. Rudimentary as it,
Yeah.
I'm sure is.
Yep.
There's going to always be trade deficits in relation when you're talking about the United States to other countries because
We buy more stuff.
we're bigger.
Yeah.
We need more stuff, right? I don't expect Vietnam to import as many goods as we are taking from them.
Right.
It doesn't. So we're always going to have a trade deficit. So tariffs aren't to eliminate trade deficits, but that you hear that. I was watching some garbage on MSNBC the other day. I know. I try to get both sides, and they're talking about Trump is trying to do away with trade deficits and it's never going to work. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's happening here. That's not what this is. The other stuff, and I didn't realize this, I was in the car business for 27 years and I naively enough didn't understand if you travel the world, you know what you don't see?
Right.
American automobiles.
Yeah.
Then I drive around out in the area where I live in the Omaha metro area, and you see mostly foreign vehicles.
Yep.
So Audis, Mercedes, what else? Volkswagens, I mean, Hyundais and Nissan and on and on and on. And overseas, they only sell their products.
Yep.
There's no Chevys in Japan.
No.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's trying to get fixed. And selfishly enough, I need to get more educated on it because I have no idea what's going on with my money. And every time this guy speaks, it goes one way or the other. So now it's like a reality TV show that actually affects me. Every time he gets his face on TV, I'm turning it on going, what is he going to say?
Yeah.
Is this going to make me money or cost me money? And so, yeah, I don't know, man.
Crazy.
It's been nuts. I don't understand enough of it, but I wanted to get your opinion on, because I don't think we've talked since right around the election as far as on the air.
Yeah.
You had thought that, I think, was that you that said that he and Musk were going to not be buddies at the end of
at some point?
Yeah,
that's going to blow up. Yeah, for sure.
You see that still happening at some point?
Yeah. The more power that Musk wields, it makes Trump jealous. Like, I mean, when there was that picture of Musk sitting behind the presidential desk and people started saying that Musk would really run the country, it strained the relationship. Musk had to go. They went on TV together with Musk basically saying, I'm not trying to, like give a public apology that I'm not trying to run the country. He's the president.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that kind of saved him so far. But
I see that too. I can see that souring. And I think they're setting the framework here. The groundwork is laid for him to kind of be done here real shortly, and all that. He's done his work, and let's move on with all of this.
Yep. So, and obviously shareholders want him back.
Yeah.
At Tesla and putting his time and effort into some of that stuff.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. So Donald Trump, scale of 1 to 10, how well has he done since, what are we, 3 months in?
He's done a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that he's planting seeds that will grow. I think that there's some people that obviously you don't want an all-out trade war, but you can't get what you want without applying pressure.
Yep. So you have to exert leverage.
I like that. To touch back on Elon real quick. It's funny to me how many people just hate this guy now. He's literally donating his time to try to help our deficits, try to cut government waste. And people are burning down his dealerships, burning down his cars, keying Tesla cars, which 1 year ago, 18 months ago, for sure, the majority of Tesla buyers were Democrats.
Oh, 90%.
Yes.
He was their darling.
And now Democrats are keying other Democrats' cars and lighting them on fire.
Yes.
And people are apologizing and putting stickers on the back of their car that I bought this before.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness, what a mess. But it's so funny how people are saying, well, he's trying to get all of our personal information. I mean, the guy used to own PayPal.
Yeah.
He clearly had access to people's private information.
Let me ask you this. What of your current personal information isn't out there?
Right. And that's it just killed me that
Well,
people,
my social security number is nowhere but in my head.
right.
Come freaking on.
Yes. TD Ameritrade has it.
I-
And it's been sold on the black market.
yes, it's on the dark web.
But it's just so funny that people are like so anti him and that he's going to download my information. I mean, do people really believe that Elon Musk is going to go get a Sears card in your name and
That's
buy a
exactly
washing
it.
machine?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what you think is
That's
going to
it.
happen?
Yep. He's going
I
to
didn't apply for this visa. Elon
Right.
Musk did this.
he's going to buy $500 worth of Levi's and then
Right.
return them and only get the sale price back. What are we talking
The
about?
richest man in the world who could buy your information.
Yeah.
If he wants your data, he has it.
And those of you that are afraid of that have an average credit score
Yeah.
of 409.
Yeah.
What are we even talking
I'm afraid
about?
that he's going to take your $492 life savings, clean you out.
That's it. Yep.
It's like they've watched so many Austin Powers movies that
Yes.
that's who Elon is. He is the diabolical.
He is.
Oh my gosh.
He's the Antichrist,
Yeah.
you know. So you know how I don't like religious wackos.
Yeah.
You know, I love Jesus.
Yep.
Don't like religious wackos.
Yep.
And the religious wackos, there's the religious wacko wing
Yep.
that is, he could be the Antichrist.
Eh.
Okay. Probably not.
No.
Doesn't really line up with what I'm reading in
Yeah.
Revelation, but
Yeah.
yeah, the dude donates his time. And you know, there's a safety element here too. I mean, people want to kill the dude.
No, for sure.
That's a big deal. There are whack jobs that want him dead.
Yes. People that are burning cars that have never had a record before.
Yeah.
Are obviously, yes, there are people out there that are definitely want him dead.
But Mike, it's no different than what happened on January 6th.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard that narrative?
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
So burning the dealerships
Yes.
is akin to walking through the hallways unarmed and causing no damage in the Capitol. Now, were there some bad actors there and those people should be locked up?
If you get 10,000 people together, there's going to be some bad actors.
There
It
are.
doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's the Conway Twitty concert.
Oh, good reference,
Yeah,
dude.
there you go. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you got 10,000 people in a building.
So not even 10,000, man.
Yeah.
You know, here's the, I don't know the exact, I wish I had these statistics in front of me, but an average like Navy SEAL class starts out at like 200 and something people.
Yeah.
In that 200 and something people, based upon the type of people that made it through the selection to get that far, and they estimate that there are half a dozen actual psychopaths
Right.
in that group of 200.
Yeah.
Then you expand that out, and if you like are walking through the mall one day,
Yeah.
if people still walk through malls,
Yep.
that's wherever you're at.
Sure.
There's, let's say you're at a sporting event.
Yep.
Do you know how many psychopaths are at a sporting event? 1,000? Right? They're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just don't understand the logic of where there's a couple people busting stuff. You know, dropped a swear word.
Yeah.
They're busting stuff, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the majority of what went on there wasn't even close to, we're going to burn down dealerships and we're going to destroy property and hurt jobs. And man, I just don't get it, man.
And what's funny is that the amount, so they claim, like they give like 3 officer related deaths that were all heart attacks or suicides.
Yes.
That's the fact.
Yes.
But if you bring up somebody that's mad about January 6th, if you mention the George Floyd riots,
Yeah.
which had, by the way,
First off, if you
10
say the word riot
Right.
in regards,
Right.
it's already a problem.
right, way more police fatalities, way more pedestrian fatalities, way more damage, burnt buildings, black-owned businesses burnt to the ground, closed down, shop owners killed, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And there was 300 arrests by the federal government
And none prosecuted.
from the George Floyd rallies.
Yeah.
Rallies, we'll call them rallies.
Yes. Good.
300 arrests. And then on January 6th, we have 6,000 arrests.
And they sat in prison for years with
Yeah.
no due process.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to go back and do revisionist history, but let's.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are people, perhaps people in the audience, that believe Kyle Rittenhouse
Right.
is an absolute, pardon my French, shitbag,
Murderer.
and George Floyd is a hero martyr.
Right.
Which of those two men was more of a problem and threat to society?
I'm going to say Floyd.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know his whole story, and I know there's a statue of him in Minneapolis, and so be it. That being said, I don't think we need a statue of Kyle Rittenhouse either. And that's a young man that put himself in a really bad situation and he shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that's a conversation for another day. But when there's just this line in the sand and you have to believe this way or this way, I can't understand how a right thinking person believes that Rittenhouse was some threat to society and should have been given the death penalty. But George Floyd, who didn't deserve to die that day.
Yep.
But this is a guy that probably should have been incarcerated.
One of these two people held a knife to a pregnant woman's belly.
This would be an interesting game show.
Yeah.
We could call it Rittenhouse or Floyd.
That's right.
And we'd have to use this voice. One of these gentlemen held a knife to a woman's throat who was pregnant.
Yes.
Was it? Then you'll hear dun, dun, dun. You want to give us the answer?
Yeah, that was actually Floyd.
Yeah. What did he win, Johnny?
Yeah. It was actually Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just there's that line of division in the country.
One of these two murdered, well, killed by whatever means necessary, a child molester.
Correct. Yes. Want to give us that answer?
That would be.
That was Rittenhouse. Yeah. Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
That dude was a convicted child molester, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's revisionist history for us.
Yep.
YouTube will not like that.
And as we discussed earlier when we brought my granddaughter, I'm okay with putting the child molesters in the ground.
So I will say that Andy Frisella, you know my man Andy Frisella, we talked about 75 Hard. So his show's Real AF. It's a great podcast. He has this idea for a wood chipper. And he believes that people that are hurting innocents, and I'm not just saying children, but who harm innocents. So if you're one of these people that are pushing people into the subway train, these people should, after trial, go to a large wood chipper that he imagines building. Okay. And you do this once a month on pay-per-view, and the proceeds go to the victims' families. Huh. I thought, that seems really ridiculous, but if you sit and unpack it a little bit, I'd pay $59.95 for that.
Yeah. Huh.
What do you think?
I don't really want to see people splattered all over. I mean, I want them to happen. I don't really want to pay to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And maybe if he's president someday, he actually gets it done.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's Trump
sending them to the prison down in South America. I feel like that's a really, really good thing for your.
I got to tell you,
I'm not saying they're not end up getting wood chipper. It's just gonna be a different chipper. But
we're operating in a country right now where the stuff that's actually going on, we dreamt of having leadership like this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
There's how many people are coming across the border illegally a week now? Like 5.
Yeah.
So on January 19th, it was 18,000. Yeah. And on January 30th, it was 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being a little facetious.
During the Biden administration in July of that year, they had that bill of, to strengthen the border, and the Republicans wouldn't support it. And they're all like, yeah, see, we offered you an opportunity and Republicans won't support the bill. So do you remember the bill passing that Trump used to do this?
No
bill.
Yeah. Signature.
And remember when Biden actually, then when he saw he was going to lose the election, actually cut the crossings by like 70% without that bill also.
Yeah.
Turns out, if you just say anybody that wants to come in can, and you tell your people in immigration, leave them be, people come in.
Yeah, think how demoralizing for those patriots that are down there doing that job. That's a tough gig, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this because, man, I just don't know. What is the advantage to that whole progressive weirdo freaking open border wing of that party, what's the end game to opening the borders and flooding us with millions of people that we have no idea who they are? They're not going to pay into the tax base. They're going to suck us dry on entitlements. What is the freaking end game? Why? Is it for votes? We try to get to a place where they can vote?
There's two different camps. The one is obviously, yes, long term, one party.
You're bringing in
final
future
election,
Democrats.
Long term, long game. You have the real wackos who think that everybody should be able to do whatever they want and go wherever they please, and there should be no borders at all. That everybody should be able to go everywhere.
While they live in a gated community.
Right. Yeah.
And have armed security when they go places.
Yeah.
And don't fly commercial.
Right. And have no problem with a lot of people have no problem with other countries having borders. Like a lot of the people that want to let our border be open, like if you and I go to Mexico and we stay there more than 6 months, we have to leave the country before 6 months. We have to leave for at least a couple of days and then come back. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with that. It's Mexico.
Because it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody from Mexico wants to come to the US, it's like, oh yeah, they should be able to. It's crazy.
This is the stuff that's happening right now is amazing to me. I think the country's on the right track. I also, as we look ahead, and I don't like that my mind works this way, but you know what's going to happen next year? Midterm elections. Yeah. And then you know what's going to happen right then? We're going to start having the process for the nomination for president, and we're going to be right back in this cycle. Yeah. And I'm hoping that he can stay on track and stay on message and stay focused, because as soon as that pendulum starts going too far the other way, the next batch of weirdos that's coming out of the Democrat Party is going to be that AOC wing. We thought Bernie Sanders and Liz Warren and all these people were just so extreme. They're really freaking tame compared to the Tlaib lady in Minnesota and AOC and all these America hating. Man.
Yeah.
So, boy. And the frustrating thing is all of these things that Trump has signed. I love here. I'm going to sign this order and we're going to get this done. That's how you get things done. Yeah. But as easily as that can happen, understand that on January 21st of 2029, the same stuff can be undone with a few signatures too. So are we just going to be every 4 years just going one extreme to the other? Open the borders and then close the borders?
We need an independent.
Yes. We need a
middle.
We need a ticket.
80% of the U.S. is in the middle. And then you have to choose a side. Which side has the most things that I can stomach?
And why not a ticket? Because I've said this. Why not Tulsi Gabbard and, I don't know, J.D. Vance? Yeah. And she's an independent now. But if you had a moderate Democrat and a moderate Republican coming together on a ticket to do things that made sense. And I'm open to having conversations. I don't think because somebody is foreign that we should be kicking their door down and throwing them in an El Salvadorian prison. Nobody thinks that. But I think that if there's criminals in our country,
maybe that.
I think there's ambiguity here.
I mean, it seems like maybe there was a little bit of willy-nilly of gathering people up and dropping them off.
I would say that they got really aggressive at the beginning.
But they should have gotten aggressive with the people that were absolutely known criminals, besides the crossing part of the criminality.
I agree.
They should have went after the rapists, murderers.
The worst of the worst.
The people that have beat up cops, the people that have walked through apartment buildings in Colorado with machine guns.
People that have done violence to other human beings should be kicked out of here.
Yep.
But if you can't just round up everybody and if we get a few innocents, that's just the cost of doing business. That's can't.
America. You're not supposed to do that.
You can't do that, right? Now, and that
was what the Supreme Court said, by the way.
Yeah.
That these regional judges can't stop the federal government. However, the federal government does need to give everybody their day in court before they drop them off
now,
in the Salvadorian prison.
Yes and no. Here's the workaround. And these people are slick, man. So we're going to designate MS-13 and that
terrorists.
whatever the other gang is, they're now terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is say, hey, Jose over there is part of MS-13.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any rights. Yeah. That's a little bit gray, man.
Yeah.
And they're going back to 2001 and using that Patriot Act language and that access of evil stuff and all that. If you're for us or against us, and if you're a terrorist organization, we're going to detain you forever and torture you. And bro, that can't really, that's not going to work.
I don't like the guys in Guantanamo that were there forever not having due process.
It's not okay. Now, I was all for it. Yeah. I'm telling you, in 2002 and 2003, I was like the rest of the.
But when you start finding out there's people that have been there for 20 years that may or may not actually have these terroristic ties.
Yeah. See, we were
we were
manipulated then.
Yeah.
We were being manipulated by the media, telling us they hate America. They want to kill all of you. And if we don't keep them in Guantanamo, they're going to blow up your local shopping mall. And we were lied to, man. And all that did is perpetuate the hate around the globe for America. And that's why there's still religious conflict now with all these organizations. Yeah, it's a problem. But you know what? It is what it is. Yeah.
You did the best we could.
We're doing what we can, everybody. Yeah. All right. So that takes care of Trump. I don't have anything else on tariffs. I'm going to look at the stock market, though.
All right.
Let's take a look. Let's see if our trend is still going. Dude. Tesla up 19%.
Yeah, crazy. Huh?
Whew. Boeing 12%.
Okay.
So I took a ride with Boeing. I got in, and then it went way down. I thought they're bound to get. I know we're gonna have conflict in the world, and Boeing's in somebody's back pocket. Then they get that big.
Yeah,
that worked out. You just got to try to guess. Yeah, so it's going well. Truths. You want to talk about some Jesus stuff?
All right.
So I like to have Mike on to talk about these things because, we're a faith-based show. We're not a religious show. We talk about that a lot, but we do like Jesus, and my faith is a huge part of my life. Mike, probably the best friend I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
I don't say that flippantly. I think that's actually true, and I can't name a guy that I think's a better guy. I think you have the best heart. I think you're one of the best human beings I've ever known.
I may be blushing.
And also, not a Christian guy.
Not overly religious.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see, that's not a problem for me.
Yep.
Might be a problem for you.
No, I'm glad that you have made the changes in your life you've made.
Right.
And I always say whatever people got to do to be a better person, then that's what that person has to do.
Yes.
Everybody has their own path.
I think I've got a question for you that the audience is going to sit back and if they're really thinking about it, thinking, wait a minute, which of those do I think? So we're going to talk about Jesus. Okay. And we're going to game show again.
All right.
I'm going to give you 3 choices.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I like the multiple choice. All right.
Jesus was either
B.
Okay. We don't know the choice yet.
Okay, go ahead. All right, let's go.
You might
I
pick.
do like to guess ahead.
You might pick B.
If he would have said a number, it was going to be a number. I'd have said 6 or 3. And if it's multiple choice, I say B. So let's see if I'm right.
Okay. So he was either a liar,
okay,
a lunatic, or the Lord. Now, as you ponder that, I'm going to tell you why the question.
Okay.
Because, and we can certainly have this discussion too. I believe historically, Jesus of Nazareth did walk the earth. I think there's record of that happening. And I'm not even talking miracles and the virgin birth. And I'm just talking this guy was alive because there's just so many conflicting religious texts that come together and agree that he was somebody walking around preaching. So I believe he was alive. So that means that he was one of those 3 things.
So,
because he professed to be the Son of God.
I have a D. My beliefs bring me to D.
Okay.
Out of the above.
What else could he be, though?
What's that?
What else could he be if he's not one of those?
I mean, I believe that there was a Jesus, and I believe that he walked around. And here's where the doubts and the disbeliever come in. Most of the accounts of Jesus's life weren't really recorded and found till over 100 years after his passing. So even the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all of these tales have not been handed down untouched generation to generation. They were told through dreams, through appearance, through God's divine intervention. These
Now,
stories
some
were
of
told.
like the Gospels were largely written by the people that hung out with him. Now, I think there's one that didn't, but at least a couple, like Matthew, hung around Jesus.
Right.
So
But if you as you do your history research, there was not ever the book of Matthew was not actually handed down.
got you.
There was lost time.
Agree.
And then around 200 AD, this all goes down, that these books start coming together. And then in like whatever 1300 or whatever, King James, he then sends out his people, and he then, as a man, looks at all the transcripts we have, and he's like, Thomas, no. Matthew, yes. Acts, okay.
Yeah, we're going to leave this one out. Yeah, okay. So there certainly is some human manipulation to what we now call the Holy Bible.
And when I think about humans from 180, 200 AD, I don't feel the record keeping is all that great. I mean, a lot of this is going to be stories that were passed down, and you know how stories are. I tell you one, and so anyway, I mean, I believe that Jesus walked the earth. I don't even know that I believe that Jesus at the time proclaimed himself to be the Son of God. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But it'd be impossible for you and I to know.
For sure. So your other possibility that I didn't mention was perhaps he didn't even make these claims about himself. Others may have for their own agenda.
Later on,
down the road,
everybody needs something to believe in. Nobody wants to think that when I die, the end, right?
Yeah.
Worm food.
Yeah.
So myself, I believe whatever. We're in a big universe. I think there's things we don't understand, and maybe it is God. Maybe it's God I don't understand. I believe there's things in this universe I don't understand.
Yeah.
And when I die, my energy will re-enter into the universe. Einstein says that you can't stop energy. Energy continues to exist. It just changes form. So maybe maybe it is a heaven and hell that changes. But in my head, the universe is so big. There's now every day you read this stuff like the universe is older than they thought. You're not one of the 6,000 year guys, are you?
So where I land on that, and that's a great question. So I first off I don't see in the Bible where it actually says it's only this old. And somebody can show me that, and that's fine. There's also people who are like, the Bible doesn't talk about dinosaurs. And there's like, okay. Here's where I land on that. I don't have a great explanation. I don't know how old the earth is.
Yeah.
Scientists say X, Y, and Z. If they're so accurate, why does it change every year?
Right.
It's okay to say, I don't know. Right. And I think a common thread amongst Christ following people is they're really afraid of those words, man.
Right.
Right. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know how old the earth is.
Yep.
Let me back my way into it, though, because we're talking about the way left side of the Bible now.
Right. Yep.
Right. Let me back my way into it. I had to come to a place in my life where at the end of my rope, I either was going to check out or I needed to know in my heart and have some sort of feeling and affirmation that there was something bigger than myself. For me, I needed that.
Yep.
And what happened was, as I opened a line of communication, which was a weird thing to do. It's not weird for me now, but then it was a weird thing to do to actually have prayer.
Yeah.
Because that's strange when you have not done it. That was very strange for me. And what I felt from doing it really impacted my life. And as I started reading the Bible, I started reading thousands of year-old words that were ringing true in my life that many years later. It gave me some affirmation about I'm having these feelings and I'm feeling close to this higher power, this God. Let me try to understand what that is. And the Bible was filling in some of those blanks. I'm feeling this. I have felt this. God fixed this. And the story of Jesus and who he was as a man really spoke to me.
And I want to throw this out there, like to backtrack on myself a little bit. I do think let's call the King James Bible, whatever. What are we talking? 700 years old. I think the Bible is amazing.
Yeah.
I do think that, especially the New Testament. I mean, how could these people have put together such a loving, right?
Mhm.
Do unto others. Let's be good to people.
Yeah.
Even though that's Old Testament, but overall, the New Testament is telling you forgive,
Yeah.
forget, make peace, move forward.
Yeah.
To me, that I feel that there had to be some intervention,
Yeah.
from a higher power of some kind. Again, whatever it is,
Yeah.
because the Bible's got way too much good information to be coming from a bunch of heathens from 700 years ago.
If somebody that has no belief at all in God, has no trust that Jesus is who he said he was, if they'll read the scriptures and line up their habits and behaviors according, their life will be better than not having implemented it.
100%. And that, honestly, just so you know, this is why you're asking me this stuff. And I would never get into a debate with you because I don't know. So again, I don't know.
Same. Yeah.
The Bible could be 100% right.
Yeah.
And I could be out here walking around and maybe this day of realization, awakening's coming.
Yeah.
But at no point in my life am I going to see a guy of faith who is way better, right? You're a way better person because of your faith. Would I ever debate with you that you're wrong?
Yeah.
I'm not entering that.
And
You're a better person.
it's
and
the other, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's fruit. So my testimony to that is I'm leading a different life, but the better person part is because of Christ in me and the crucifixion of my old self and those actions and those wants. The other thing it's hard to explain to folks is I can't willpower my way to some of the changes that I've undergone in my life. When your wants actually change, it's freaky.
Yeah.
And when you are there, you start seeing things with kind of different eyes a little bit. And the things that used to just go by the wayside or you would ignore, coincidences maybe that happen in life, you're like, wait a second, that's really strange. And are they coincidences? Maybe. So, Jim, there is no such thing as coincidences. I believe that there aren't.
Yeah.
But the thing that people need to understand is it's an easier position to defend that what I believe is freaking crazy. I mean, here's what I believe, dude. I'm going to say it out loud because I know how nuts it is, right? I believe a dude was born to a teenage girl who'd never had sex, got pregnant, and then I believe that he grew up, performed miracles, rose people from the dead, healed the sick, turned water into wine. Can't quite figure out the relevance of that, but it is what it is.
Yep.
It was his first ever miracle.
Yep.
And changed history.
Well, you know how plain water can be if you're just drinking
It's
water.
true, yeah.
And
Boy, don't I know it.
Yeah, I put the little packs in it, like
But and then this dude,
it's basically artificial sweeteners.
then he gets tortured and beaten and hung on a cross and stabbed in the side and dead and thrown in a tomb. And then a few days later, he's alive again. And then he ascends to heaven. And I believe that his presence, the Holy Spirit, is now indwells in me. And I walk around with that spirit and power in me. And it helps me with my discernment and my decisions in my life every single day. And it's impacted every decision that I make since I came to that realization. That's freaking crazy, bro. Right.
So,
just to say it out loud.
Yeah, but I mean,
but I do believe it.
That go through my head, right? Is that everything happened the way you said it did, and that possibly Jesus was sent by aliens, and these people down here need something to believe in, and they need some good word because the stuff they're doing is crazy. Like a higher life form would look at us at that 2,000 years ago and be like, "You guys are they're killing everybody, and they're raping everybody, and they're just doing whatever they need. They need some guidance." So in my head, that's a possibility. That God is a higher life form that we can't understand. Like I say, whether
I think it
again, like I say,
Everything's a possibility,
yeah,
right? A lot of it comes down to, and I use a word that a lot of Christ following people don't use. I use the word choose. I choose to believe that that's true.
right. The Bible's as written.
Yes. So let's go back to the Genesis stuff.
Yeah.
I look at some of that Genesis stuff, like a lot of other people, with some semblance of skepticism in areas like how old people ended up living to, they're 800 years old. And it's just all there's some stuff in there.
And there's some really bad advice in the Old Testament.
There is. So
That's-
for sure. Now,
yeah.
the way I reconcile it is if I believe that the right side of the Bible is true and it's impacted my life and I feel that presence of God and I believe it with all my heart that this Jesus walked out of this tomb, which we're going to celebrate here is coming up, Easter's coming up and stuff. If I believe that to be true, that means the rest of it I have to take at faith. Because I can't believe that, well,
You can't.
so here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mike, I can't believe that this guy built this big ark and these animals. That seems crazy. But Jim, a guy walked out of a tomb after being dead for 3 days. It's either all true or it's not for me.
And for me, the Old Testament can be discounted. And everybody does.
Yes. I had this conversation on a Zoom call the other night because our building and becoming.
And I don't think, by the way, the ark story, I think there's actually scientific evidence out there that proves that that's a possibility.
True. Yeah, same.
But a lot of the stuff in the Old Testament, as far as you're going to kill your neighbor, there's a lot of stuff in there that we just can't act on.
Correct. My feeling with faith is that it is the answers in the word. It's faith. I can't prove it to you, but I do know for my life and an Old Testament scripture, as for me and my household, we'll serve the Lord. It says, choose today who you're going to serve because you're serving something. You're going to believe in something. You're going to have faith in something or your faith is in nothing. So there's a lot of people that have faith in nothing. That's still faith. And that faith is at least as strong as mine. My choice that I've made for my life down here, however long that's going to be, is that I want to have faith in God, and that God to me is Jesus Christ. And I try to live my life from that. Now, a lot of people try to lord their beliefs over everybody else in their lives. Now, the fine line there is we are supposed to share our faith, but there's a way to do that without saying, well, enjoy hell, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? Yeah. Right? You don't need to stand out on the street corner and tell people they're going to burn in hell. And no, because that's not how Jesus did
cut
it.
People off and cut people out of their lives. We've talked about that before. People,
yes.
Well, if you're not believing what I believe, then I can no longer associate with you. What?
It's exactly.
This is the turn the other cheek.
Here's what you'll see.
But a lot of that weirdo stuff is people taking things from the Old Testament and making it fit their narrative that they want to believe, and then ignoring the New Testament of the turn the other cheek.
I got something for you. I gotta go look it up. This isn't great radio.
Yeah. I'd like to take this time to thank today's sponsors. You got any sponsors?
I don't like to talk about them.
Okay.
That strains our relationship with them. Okay.
Did we start charging people to not mention their name on the air?
Correct.
All right.
Brought to you by. Are you following Jesus, or are you praying every day that he follow you? There's the rub with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is their prayer life is, I need this to happen and you need to make it happen for me. Whereas real spiritual maturity, and I am not there and I'm trying to get closer, is, you know what, God, what do you want? Yeah. Show me, give me some discernment and some wisdom, some understanding, and help me walk the path that you would have for me. But that's a tough one because we all want what we want.
God, if you want me to continue being successful and spreading your word on the show, I'm going to need Boeing to go up 40 more points.
That's exactly right. Yes. Yes, exactly.
So I'm here working for you, dude.
Right.
But I can't keep on this path.
Yeah.
If Boeing doesn't get some uptick.
Exactly. Right. Come on, Boeing. Let's do it. So faith is an interesting topic. I don't have all the answers, and I also understand doubt. One of my favorite scriptures is in Mark. There's a father who's got this super sick son, like he's deathbed type of sick, and he comes to Jesus. He says, "Hey, um, could you heal would you heal my son?" And Jesus says, "Yeah, I can do that." And the guy says, "Thank you." Jesus says, "Anything's possible for people that believe." And the guy says, "I do believe." His next line out of his mouth is, he says, "Jesus, forgive me for my unbelief." Because the guy's watching, now the story goes, the guy's watching Jesus perform miracles in their little community there. And he's a believer. He's like, wow, this is the Messiah. And he still, when he comes to Jesus with prayer, is apprehensive, like, hey, could you even do this? And then sees all of this. He's having a conversation with Jesus, and then he feels convicted to be honest enough from his heart to say, I have some unbelief, and I need you to forgive me for that. So when I have doubts and things, I don't feel like, oh, I hope Jesus doesn't know. Yeah. I'll say, God, I'm struggling a little bit right now. Forgive me for my unbelief, because that's how a relationship and a faith life should go. And I'll give you one more thing about fruit. If you're watching people that proclaim to be followers of Jesus running around like total a-holes and just dumping on people and not having love in their hearts and their motivations for things. Now, people are going to screw up. Goodness knows I do. Yep. But if their motivations aren't love, they're missing the whole thing. Jesus made it pretty simple. One of the things I love about the New Testament is, there's some parables and things in there, but the overall messaging is kind of dumbed down because it was dumbed down for everyday common people like the fishermen. Yep. And so I'm like, okay, good. I can understand this. He says, God's love. Yep. Okay, got it. And he says, all the rules from the Old Testament and all this stuff, that we're not doing that anymore. I'm like, okay, this is attractive. So what do we got now? He says, I'm going to give you two things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do those two things and you're going to be solid. Yep. That's pretty good religion to me, right. Totally. And if you don't believe in the tomb and you're not sure how old the world is and stuff, if you're like, I'm just choosing not to believe Jesus, my encouragement to you would be, okay, I'd rather that you explore it a little further, but let's start here. Yeah. Try to do those two things. Nice. Yeah. Try to treat it. Even the first one, you're not quite there yet. Yeah. Let's do the second one and try to do it effectively. Yeah. Let's love our neighbor. It doesn't just mean the guy living next door as yourself. Yep. Because who's everybody love more than anybody else? Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's why that's written that way. Yeah. So, and I think you do a miraculous job at that.
I try to do that.
Because if you're walking around able to do that, absent the power of the Holy Spirit, and when I said earlier, you're probably the best guy I've ever known with the best heart, hands down you are, because I do not have that in me, brother. I just don't have it. Right. I'm getting it from him. I'm getting it from him.
A better man every day.
But
that's all, and that's all we can all try to be, right?
It is, man.
I'm not perfect by any stretch.
It's important.
Believe me, there's plenty of Mike freakouts on.
Oh, for sure.
On my neighbors.
Same. We just need to get to a place where we understand that we're not better than anybody else. The people that don't believe aren't worse people. No. There's plenty of people that believe, and believing's not quite good enough. The devil believed too. Yeah. And that's why I always say followers of Christ instead of believers. And then people that follow Jesus want to walk around and talk about being saved, and then, you're lost. Yeah. I don't find that a productive conversation. Hey, did you know you're lost? Yeah. That's like if I see somebody that I have a heart for and I'd like to help them get a little bit healthier, I'm not going to say, oh, did you know that I'm fit and you're fat?
Yeah, you're fat.
Well, you're going to die sooner than that's not a productive conversation. Maybe get to know the person, establish a little bit of a relationship, and let them see how you live. Yeah. And we're going to be, we'll be judged ultimately by our fruit. You'll know what kind of tree you've got by what kind of fruit it produces. Yep. So, yeah, man. Well, shoot, that's an hour and 5 minutes. All right. One more check of the stock market.
All right. Come on, boy.
More. Yes. See if he answered, bro.
I'd like this show to keep going.
See if he answered. I mean,
all right. The show goes on next week, guys.
So there will be an episode 9. Thank you, Boeing. Yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to talk about, Michael?
Oh man, I'm good.
Later, guys.
Thank you.